up. So this is the one in the kitchen window. So this is just a much smaller tree. You can see it's got the white frost on it. The white frost is a little bit of a pest because it falls off, but it looks pretty. So a lot of these decorations on here are actually what I had on my bigger tree last year. And actually every single one of these decorations, bar these little 80p snowflakes that I just got from Peel Farm, these white ones that I bought from Brecon Castle Centre, and this rattan bow from Brecon Castle Centre, or should I say, or this jute bow from Brecon Castle Centre. Everything on here, as well as being mine from last year, these were all actually pre-loved ornaments as well that I found before last Christmas, which I thought was really cool. So it was nice to be able to make use of these, and the colours really go with, you can see the fabric in my kitchen curtains. So this area is usually where the dining table is, so the dining table is still going to go back here, but it just blends in really nicely. I have just used the blanket that usually sits at the end of my bed to kind of make like a tree skirt and dress the bottom of the tree. We've got the boxes that were from Raspberry Fields. Very inexpensive, like I said. I think they were bought separately, but they were all sort of like £3.50, £4-ish. So really inexpensive way to decorate the bottom of the tree. And these artworks were my existing artworks that were sitting around. So this picture usually always sits in this kitchen window. This is a Rob Ritchie print that I bought many years ago. Second-hand frame, second-hand art stand. This is also a pre-loved frame piece of pressed florals, which is really cool. Had this for ages and it's actually never really found its place properly. It's kind of been moved around the house, so that just looks really cool there. I absolutely love it. And this piece is one that I found in a British Red Cross probably about like 2 months ago or so, and I think I bought this picture, can you believe it, already framed for £4, I think it was. And that is actually oil. That's an original piece of artwork, and underneath it, it's got just a art frame, just a really plain one, which was also from the British Red Cross as a Zara dead stock. So overall, I would say this is a pretty sustainably done tree. So really pleased with the way that that's turned out. So this is the first tree. We've still got the main tree to do in the living room. Ignore how dirty the windows are. I'm sure lots of people have said, living in the UK recently, that we've had a lot of storms and a lot of debris splashed all over our windows. So that is outside and not inside, and it doesn't look particularly pretty, but with this weather, I really don't fancy getting out there and cleaning those windows. But yeah, so that's the first tree. As I say, the dining table will go back in here. You can see the realities of renovating property. The door handles, we've only got one door handle on there, but I actually do have door handles that are gonna replace these very soon. So yeah, very pleased with how that's turned out. And here it all is with the table pushed back. So for those of you who might remember these is my fade to grey dining table and fade to grey antique chairs as well, in this beautiful fabric, which goes really nicely with the curtains, and generally I just think that that's really a pretty picture. This plant stand over here, I would love to, you can see how this is, you know, things need to be touched up. What happens is, if you're decorating your house bit by bit and it takes a long time like mine has, you get to the point where everything needs to be repainted. But anyways, that's a problem for a different day. I really love this plant stand over here that I got from Planters Emporium in Kerry, and it cost me about £20, so really inexpensive. And it's sitting on top of a really old Sainsbury's table that I had when I first moved into this house, but you can't see the Sainsbury's table, so it looks really nice. But I would love to, anyway, I digress. I would like to have something poking out the top of here to really just kind of complete this picture, but we are undecided at the moment. And just over here I've got another Fade to Grey Antiques piece, which is this little bureau, which I absolutely love. It used to sit over here, but I think that that's just much nicer over here and it gives much better space behind the chairs. A second-hand teapot set with a second-hand teapot set, which is just absolutely beautiful. One of my favorite things, this lilac color. I think it really stands out nicely against the gray. I've got a poor fern up here that's not doing very well. It's being in a process of being rescued, but you can see it's growing new shoots, so it will come back. My Kent and Stowe watering can, which is decorative as well as functional. And then above it I've got these two pictures which I don't believe were secondhand, and the reason I say I don't believe is because I got them in the Scottish Antique Centre in Abernite. So, but as part of there they also have new items as well, but I found these and they were really expensive. I think I paid something like 30 something pounds for the two of them, perhaps, but anyway, it was really inexpensive, and I think they just go really nicely with everything in this room. And then I've got one of my absolute favorite pictures of the lady smelling the roses. I think it's actually called Smelling the Roses, and I think that that is a Waterford print. Absolutely love it. But you can see the kind of, it's very feminine, this room actually, but you can see this, the way we've done the tree really ties in quite nicely, and I think it's going to be really sad to take it away, but for now it looks absolutely beautiful. I was just about to start piecing this vlog together and realised that I've actually half filmed it and not finished showing anything after putting the Christmas trees together, and actually also that I haven't spoken to the vlog face on. When this is going up is a little bit after when all the decorations went up, obviously, because today is actually Christmas Eve. Well, tonight I should say, is actually Christmas Eve, and everything is kind of ready to go. Apart from putting the bits and bobs up, not much really exciting has happened, apart from a visit to Charlton Farm, somewhere that is a nice place to pop along for just sort of like a very casual lunch. I went along there over the weekend for a lunch and just to grab some last sort of Christmas bits and bobs for stocking fillers and things like that. So that was a really nice visit, and I think most people who live locally know it, but if you're visiting the area and haven't been there before, then as I say, it's a nice place for sort of like a casual lunch. And they have a craft shop. You can tell I'm actually totally ready for my bed at this point. They have a craft shop there, which is I like the way that it's laid out. It's kind of, it gives me that Peel Farm kind of effect where it's got like different rooms, so you walk through and you go from one space to another space and they're kind of sectioned off. So I really enjoy a little visit there. And picked up a decoration, actually I will show you in a minute. Doesn't really go with the other bits in this room. It's just kind of landed and stayed there. So what I thought I would do is, because like I said, I had half finished the video of showing decorations, but I didn't kind of show exactly how everything ended up. So I think that that's what I'm going to do, and that's really what this vlog is kind of centered around, was putting the decorations up quite late in the game, but still a festive type video. And then obviously tomorrow is Christmas, so we are planning very much a house day. Like I said, I'm hosting Christmas, very casually, I say that, at my house. So I have all of the family here, so it's pretty much going to be a very chill day. We have just committed basically to spending, you know, it's a day at home but spending it together. So we bought some board games and bits like that, because it's not something that I've had in this house. So it was sort of like a last minute rush around the charity shops on Saturday, trying to find board games that we could all play on the day. So let me flip the camera around and just show you the Christmassy touches in this room. I showed you the Christmas tree that went in the kitchen window, which I explained that was primarily pre-loved. This room has a bit of a mixture of pre-loved and the new bits and bobs that have been picked up this year. So let me show you. So here is how the tree turned out. It now has Christmas bags underneath it. On this tree, so at the top, a lot of the decorations on this tree compared to the other ones are new, but locally sourced in one way or another. So at the top, I've got a star that is new this year that I picked up from the Brecon Castle Centre, which I actually really like and I think blended in really well with this tree in the end. I've got this kind of rattan bow, which you would have seen on the other tree was actually topping that as well. And I've actually popped it on this lamp that usually sits in this corner, but spudged along. And I've got a matching lamp over the other side of the room, so just added them on for a nice little touch. You can see there's a nice mix of decorations that you've seen before. So these hand ones from Catherine Holtet, the silverware designs, shell decorations that I picked up. I just absolutely love these little robins. I've got a couple of them dotted in the tree. I mentioned in the other video these sort of tartan ones, which were also from Brecon Castle Centre. You saw these baubles from Nut Scene, and also these ones from Nut Scene. So I'm just trying to kind of pick out ones that you haven't seen before. So some relatively new additions was these feather ones from Peel Farm, which were a great bargain actually, because as I said, all of their decorations were a third off. So they were a great kind of last minute find. And actually these birds are in Nut Scene this year, and funnily enough, I had picked them up and I was umming and ahhing about buying them. Luckily, in some ways, I changed my mind, because at some point last year or the year before, I had purchased a couple of them to go on last year's tree. But what I remembered is that actually last year I didn't put a tree up at all. It was the previous year that I had the second-hand tree up. So they had actually just been in the cupboard and been forgotten about. So actually just tonight we found those cute little birds under the stairs when we were clearing out, getting everything ready for today. There is this little house, we've taken the tag off, so I don't know exactly what the maker is, but these we found last minute at Cholton Farm. And then is there anything else that's kind of different in here that I haven't already showed you? I don't think so. It's just more showing this tree with all the bits and bobs that we have already kind of spoken about in the build up to putting the tree together. I think the only other one that you might not have seen is these bells. So there's 3 of these kind of nestled in there, which were also from Brecon Castle Centre. You can see it's there's a lot of mix, detailed decorations on there, but we haven't used any of these flower sticks that I mentioned before, or any tinsel or anything like that. It's literally just lights and baubles, and I really like the way that it's turned out, and I think this topper works perfectly for that kind of simple design. The other festive touch is these stag head baubles that have actually ended up just hanging on this sideboard. And the reason that they've ended there is because these stags are metal and they are really hardy decorations and actually a little bit too heavy for that tree. So they've ended up on here, and there was just 3 of them, and they came in a pack, and it was another one of those that we found at Peel Farm, which were a third off. So in total, for, like I say, these are really sturdy quality decorations, and I think in the end, for all 3, for the pack of 3, yeah, definitely was 3, I think worked out for something like maybe £9, something like that. The sticks, although they didn't end up on the tree, have ended in my vase that sits here all year round, which I just absolutely love, which I found in Planters some time ago. These gold nest of tables, you might not be able to see that they're a nest, but they are, usually sit in the corner where the Christmas tree is, but it's moved over here now. It's housing this pretty vase of faux Christmas flowers. There are actually some real ones in there, which were from a bunch of flowers that we had earlier on in the month, but these ones are still kind of, they've just dried out well, so we've just added in here to bulk it out a little bit. So these bigger flowers, so the red ones and the gold, and these gold ones at the back were from Brecon Castle Centre. These sticks were just something that we found, this one and this one, were just something that we found in charity shops for really silly money. So we just picked them up just to bulk out these flower displays basically. And these white ones were the ones that I said had dried out from real bunches of flowers. So we actually just thought that that looked really pretty together. The other item that I picked up from Charlton Farm was this deer that I absolutely love. So just a kind of a bit of a context was that in Nutsing, over the autumn season, they have, in the last couple of years, had some pumpkins that were in this style and most likely the same maker that I've been eyeing up and really, really loved. And when we were in Charlton Farm, I just happened to come across this deer, which was very, in my opinion, reasonably priced, and I just couldn't walk away from it that day. So this has ended up coming home with me. It has landed here, although as you can see, it doesn't really go with the rest of the colour theme in this room. It's actually likely going to go up in the bedroom. And I don't think, although it's kind of sparkly and it's a deer, realistically, I don't think that would look out of place other points in the year. The other thing that's kind of changed here, some of you might not be familiar with this room, is that previously there were 2 pieces of very kind of modern artwork that sat up here, and it just didn't really kind of go, well, it looked fine, but for a little while now I've been thinking about changing them because they were purchased early on into me decorating this room, and the living room was actually the first room to be done in the whole house because it was relatively easy and there was some major work that had to be done in here immediately. So I've just kind of gotten around to changing it to, let me move this out of the way actually, to this picture, which there's a bit of glare from the camera that's sitting on it, but this secondhand picture that I found in a British Red Cross, which I absolutely love. It doesn't actually say where it is, but a lot of people on the day that I was buying it commented that it looked very much like it could be of York. Personally, I've never been to York, but I just thought the buildings were beautiful, and actually it's very nicely mounted. Very often when I find pieces in charity shops, I usually like either the frame or the artwork and think that something could be tweaked or switched around, but actually in this case I think it goes really well together. Over on this shelf, which actually needs to kind of be restyled a bit, is just these little bits of sort of faux foliage and berries that are sitting up on these shelves here. Pretty much they were left over, and they had different depths from the rest of the faux flowers that I purchased, and they weren't really going with the rest of it, so they've just ended up sitting on here and adding a bit more festive cheer to this end of the room. And up in the corner is these hanging sort of diamond shaped decorations, which we found in a British Red Cross. We've actually got 4 of them, which are hanging on different curtain poles around the house. These were Zara dead stock in a British Red Cross, so they were really cheap for what they would have originally been, and lovely kind of quality heavy pieces, so just really like them as a last minute find. I've got these bells, velvet red bells, that are sitting on the door handle of this window. Bring them up a little bit because the handles aren't particularly attractive themselves, but that just kind of added a little something. I think I said that these were from Brecon Castle Centre. This red bow I actually purchased to add to the top of one of the Christmas trees, but it actually didn't look all that great. It was just kind of dominating, so it's ended up decorating this clock which sits at the end of this room, which I absolutely love the clock in itself, and I think the red against this lighter colour of wood looks beautiful. We also picked up these 2 stockings last minute again. You can see all the Christmassy kind of bits are sitting down here underneath the stockings, and how everybody's stuff is kind of arranged. These 2 stockings which we found, which are just beautiful, absolutely love them. I like the idea of stockings, but I usually find it difficult to find ones that I actually like, and I don't think I would feel are a bit kind of tackily done. Sorry to say, but I felt like these ones are really timeless and beautiful. I found them in Joshua Plumtree. I don't know if they'll still be, likely won't still be there by the time they reopen. There were some still left in stock, so I don't know if they will be available in one way or another when the shop reopens after Christmas. But absolutely loved these. They had another piece one, and they had another one which had sort of like a bauble design on it, but these were by far the favourite ones. Then there were also these sacks which came from Nutscene. I just absolutely loved these sacks. Actually, it was my sister pointed them out originally, and I really didn't think about it on the day. It was one of those things which we walked away from and regretted not getting, so I actually went back afterwards and picked them up at some point. But I just again think these are so classic, and another way to kind of cover, should I say, presents, and be used again and again, and actually add some kind of decorative element to a room. So I really loved them. So yeah, other than that, we are ready for tomorrow. I probably will capture a little bits and bobs of things that we do tomorrow, but unlikely that I will be picking up the camera and speaking to it. So I will likely see you after the Christmas period now. Not too long. I'm not planning any kind of big gaps in the channel, but I'm going to sign off now, and I hope you enjoyed just seeing these Christmas touches around the house, albeit a little bit late, but who knows, you might have spotted something which you really like and will go into the sales after this video has gone live. So I wish you all a lovely Christmas and New Year, whatever it is that you are doing, if you celebrate, and I shall see you in the next vlog. And the last thing that I almost forgot actually is this bowl on the table of all of these baubles. So this is a mixture of the white ones that are on the tree in the kitchen and these kind of copper goldy ones which were secondhand from a couple of years ago, all mixed together in this bowl. This had previously some other decorative balls in there, but we had all of these ones spare, like I said, from last year, and I just thought that would be a nice kind of festive touch. I would say out of everything that was purchased, the only thing which was a disappointment was these flowers. These were from Brecon Castle Centre. They were relatively inexpensive, I say relatively, but they were a bit of a disappointment. So these are like kind of foam balls that have stuck on the sticks with a bit of gold kind of glitter on it. But the difficulty with this is that the balls fall off really easily, but the sticks that they go onto are so flimsy that it's actually hard to get them back on. So we spent quite a lot of time actually repairing these, because when you open the packet basically majority of them had fallen off. So spent some time actually repairing these, and that's how they've ended up in here as a place where they're not going to move much, number one, and number two, if they fall off, they're going to fall into this bowl and not all around the living room. But anyway, I still thought that this was quite a pretty touch, and just quite inexpensively added something festive to the room.